Global supply chains are
Which
shifting,
trade negotiations
and the
beyond
rules of
China,
industrial
which I know is
policy
occupying a
are
lot of
being
your attention
rewritten
lately,
in real time.
are you most
Scott
focused
Bessent
on?
pulls back the curtain at CNBC's Invest in America forum, sharing what's at stake for America's economic future.
Oh, is that going well? There was some question about the investment there.
Yeah, it's as I said, the devil's in the details, but we are ironing out the details. I think there'll be, again, good thing about IMF and World Bank Week brings a lot of people here, so we'll be talking about that. President had a very good meeting with Prime Minister Carney recently, so I think U.S.-Canada is back on track. I know that the Mexican team has been engaged, and India.
India is happening soon. Are we going to see more announcements on the trip to Asia later this month?
Yes. So, very good chance that I will go out early, meet with my Chinese counterpart, the Vice Premier, Hu Feng, who I have great respect for. I will meet him before. So there are two conferences, ASEAN in Malaysia. We're going to do a visit. The President's going to do a visit to Japan, and then move to Korea for the APEC conference, where the leaders, as of right now, will meet.
The other big change on industrial policy from the administration has been around taking stakes in companies, private companies that you guys deem strategic and important for the U.S. I think there have been 5 now. Are there going to be more of those?
I wouldn't be surprised because, again, many of these, when we get an announcement like this week with China on the rare earths, you realize we have to be self-sufficient, or we have to be sufficient with our allies. So when you are facing a non-market economy like China, then you have to exercise industrial policy. So on rare earths, for 20 years, anytime, rare earths are not rare. What is rare is the processing and refining.
Which China dominates.
I think they have 70% of the mining, but 95% of the processing and refining. And for 20 years, anytime anyone in a market-based economy stood up a processor or refiner, China came in, cut price, and put them out of business. So we're going to set price floors and the forward buying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And we're going to do it across a range of industries.
I was going to say, though, where do you stop? I mean, pharmaceuticals are really important for national security. Defense companies, we have the Pfizer CEO, we have the Northrop Grumman CEO. Are you going to be taking stakes in all of them?
I don't think we have to do that. I do think our defense companies are woefully behind in terms of deliveries. So we may have to, as their biggest customer, may have to prod them to do a little more research, do a little few stock buybacks, which is really what got Boeing into trouble.
Because you're such a big customer.
Sometimes we're
the only customer. Right. But what's the exit strategy for the government taking an equity stake?
Well, the equity stake, when you think about Intel was just a conversion of a grant. So I was with President Trump's Secretary Lutnick in the Oval when the Intel CEO was there, and it was, well, why don't we have a stake? Why don't we have the upside? We don't have any governance there. And then with these other deals, Mountain Pass would be one of the companies where it's a rare earth miner processor. But then you see private capital come in. You see Jamie Dimon said that JP Morgan is going to get into the business. They're going to be lending. They're probably set up some kind of an exchange. They're anxious to work with us on a strategic, we have a strategic petroleum reserve. Right. We're going to need a strategic mineral reserve. And the private sector is coming in, and that's part of the CapEx boom, too.
But what do you say to people who say that sounds socialist? I mean, for government taking stakes in private companies, picking winners and losers, that's not how we do it in America.
Well, that's the reason we've got this rare earth problem. That it is, again, that we're not going to come in and take stakes in non-strategic industries, but we've identified 7 industries. If anyone wants to read it, I wrote a paper on this about 15 months ago for a speech I delivered at the Manhattan Institute. And I do believe, and you're pushing on this in a good way, that we do have to be very careful not to overreach, and we need to go back and examine, okay, have we accomplished our goal? And then you can move on, but we have to be vigilant. We have to be vigilant because for 20, 25 years, we haven't been vigilant. The leading Chinese rare earth company used to be owned by General Motors. Chinese bought it in 1995. CFIUS, which I chair, the Committee for Foreign Investment in the U.S., mandated that it stayed in the U.S. for 5 years. Guess what happened 5 years and 1 day? Went back to China. Went back to China. Yeah. Nobody was watching. Everyone was asleep at the switch. So we're just not going to be asleep at the switch.